how have you seen this team's focus just throughout camp and now as you get into Illinois week and not letting outside whatever's out there become a distraction?
Sure, yeah. The question was about our team's focus. I like where we're at right now is from a focus standpoint. It's been a long camp, but a good camp. A lot of improvement. Our guys are excited to play an opponent, and we're getting ready for that opponent and starting to do some scout looks, and our guys are really excited, energetic about that, and instead of just going against ourselves every day. But really fired up about how our guys have prepared all camp. We're a much improved team. We still got some work to do, but we're a much improved football team.
I assume you nailed down your depth chart at this point, or when did that kind of you solidify that as this is what we're going with?
Yeah, it's not set in stone. It's getting a little more clear. So each day the depth chart gets a little more clear of who we're looking for. Who are the most consistent players at every position. So that's getting more clear. It's not, we haven't completely finalized everything. We're still letting it play out a little bit, but we like how that's shaping up. And the good thing is we're going to have a lot more depth than we did last year. So we're going to be able to play more guys at every, especially the skill spots, more guys than we did the previous year.
Did you say who has emerged at the top at wide receiver for you? Has there been some separation with tiers or anything like that?
Well, as a group, I'm happy because the whole group has improved. Last year we had a lot of first-year players, and so the biggest year of improvement is from year 1 to year 2. We had the addition of a transfer with Samari Torrey, who's playing like a veteran, so that's really helped us. But the guys that are coming back that played a lot last year have all took their game up a notch. The Oliver Martins, Wyatt Lever, Levi Falks playing at a high level. Xavier Betts has gotten better. Omar Manning's gotten better. So we feel really good about that position.
Kind of to the end of the camp with your running back situation, and we talked to you a couple of weeks ago, you're about 5 guys. Like, where are you sitting at now with how many guys are rotating at that spot, and who's rising to the top?
Sure. Well, we still haven't settled. I tell a couple of guys are jumping out. Savion Morrison is really jumping out. Marquise, he was banged up in the spring. He's shown some good things, some of the things that we look for, in recruiting as far as a big physical back that we can count on. Gabe Irvin gets better every day, and Marvin's done some good things. And so has Ramir. Ramir's had his best camp out of than he says he's been here. So we're happy with the depth. It's still we're still trying to we haven't made a decision on who's going to be the starting back. We will play more than one guy, but we feel like we have, we lost a good player in Driedrich Mills, who's already doing good things at the next level, but we think we'll have more depth than we did last year.
You say that Ramir is having his best camp as a Husker. What goes into that? What are you seeing from him that week?
Yep, consistency. So catching the ball, pass protection, knowing his assignments in the run game, run hard downhill. So those all those things we ask a lot from our running backs. They got to be able to not just be one-dimensional. They got to be complete players. And so I think he's worked on all aspects of his game. And he's a guy too with his experience. He knows the offense. So some of these he's probably a little bit older than some of these guys. Like when we add something new, it doesn't really faze him. Where the other guys, when you add something new, they still got to rep through it. And he's been, it's not his first rodeo, so he's been here a while, and it's showing. And he's not getting complacent either. He's pushed himself to get better every day.
When did Savion really start to pop out to you, and what about his game do you like?
Well, he popped out right off the bat, because he was another guy that was hurt in spring, so we didn't really know what he could. At least I didn't know what he could do, and he got his body ready in the summertime, so just the way he looked, and when he gets the ball in his hand, he's been doing a lot of good things. He has great vision. He's a guy we can throw the ball to. He's very assignment sound, and so again, it kind of goes back to that consistency thing. He's done a lot of things well.
All the receivers always mention Wyatt Lever when talking about guys who do it right every play. As a coach, what about him stands out?
Sure. I think number one is the type of person he is. He's very humble, very hungry. He's very quiet, and he lets his work and his play speak for himself. He goes out there every day, never complains, goes 100 miles an hour, takes as many reps as he can. Everything's full speed, and just competes. And he's making a ton of plays. And I think because he's so humble, because he's such a likable guy, our guys just gravitate toward him. And then the fact that he's making a lot of plays on top of that, it makes the whole football team better.
You're breaking down the running backs too. How important at this point is it to have that one guy, or is it, I mean, as you've gone through camp, is it, I guess, more comfortable, this idea of more of a committee and rotating guys?
Well, you always want to have depth, and running back is probably the most prone position on offense to getting guys banged up because of what we ask those guys to do and how physical that position is. But at the end of the day, you want to know who that guy is when it's 3rd and 1 to win the football game. Who are you giving the ball? And so that we feel pretty good about it, but we're not ready to say who that guy is. But so to answer your question, you want depth, but at the end of the day, you want to know, hey, this is the drive to win the game. Who is that guy? And that's getting clearer and clearer, and you guys will see that play out.
Xavier Betts was pretty candid with us about how in the spring he maybe didn't get as much mileage out of himself as he wanted, but you mentioned him earlier. Did you see him kind of turn the corner from that, and how has he done?
Yeah, I got a lot of respect for Zay because it's hard. It shows a lot of maturity to admit that you got room to grow, and that you can get a lot better, and admit your faults. And in his defense, anytime you go from high school to college and you get thrown in to play, it's not easy. You got to learn how to practice hard. You got to learn how important all your plays are. And he comes from a great program, but it was still a learning process for him. And I think he'd be the first to tell you that he could have embraced it probably a little bit more, because we were expecting a lot about him. But the big thing that he's done is he comes out and competes every day. You can make an argument some of the days that you look out there and like that guy might be our number 1 receiver. Each day they kind of take their turns on who's the number 1 guy. But he's continuing to make plays. He's playing at a high level, and just his effort and learning how to play fast. The thing with freshmen, which he was last year, is they think a lot, which caused a little bit of the slow play because they're thinking they've got so many things in their head, so you can't really see their talent. Well, now we can actually see his talent because he knows his assignments, and we can actually see this is the guy. Hey, this is the guy that we thought he was, a guy that can make a lot of plays, run fast, and just make our whole football team better.
This might seem like kind of an odd question, but how do analysts help you on offense, kind of behind the scenes with what they do to help the program?
Sure. They do a great job they do a whole bunch of things, and there's a whole bunch of different roles for analysts, but scouting opponents, keeping you organized, and ideas. We're going through, especially in the off season, we're going through and looking different things. It's always great to have extra. You can't have enough wisdom in the room, and so we're lucky here where we've got some experienced analysts that bring a lot of credibility, a lot of knowledge, a lot of expertise, which we need all the help we can get, like everyone else does, and they've made us better. And we'll give them projects to research and study, which will make our team better. But I love all we're very fortunate to have great analysts here.
How would you survey a certain positions? Do you think once the depth chart gets solidified in every spot, week 1 or whatever it is that you decide on that, the guys can focus more on their individual assignments heading into whatever particular game that's set for them?
I missed the second part.
So once a guy knows his role, like
yes, yeah,
whatever spot I am on the depth chart, right?
Gotcha.
Is it easy for them to focus on their assignments for any scheme or play individually?
Yeah. So what we've kind of done is we've introduced the whole offense to everybody, okay, which is a lot of stuff. So I don't know if this answers your question, but sometimes that's hard for guys because they're thinking about so many different things, and we can't expect perfection. Now when we start getting more game plan a week, we take basically 30% of that, or maybe 40% of everything we've installed, and we're going to use this, which helps guys regain focus and helps guys really zero in on their assignments and responsibilities. So I think it's going to really help everybody. And I guess, and like to your point, I guess the guys that are in the 1s and the 2 deep, it's obviously very important to them to really understand, hey, okay, now this is the game plan. All right, I don't have to know all this right now. I just have to know this and really dial in and detail that.
Some tight ends kind of banged up here throughout the camp as it happens. Like, how have guys like Chris Hickman and A.J. Rollins, James Carney, those kind of guys, how have they kind of taken to getting expanded roles and snaps in practice?
Yeah, I mean, they've done a great job. We talk about all the time is kind of that next man up, but philosophy is when one guy goes down, it's an opportunity for somebody else. And Chris Hickman's a great example because we played him at wide out a little bit last year. We moved him back and forth because of his skill set, and he's gone back to the tight end position doing some really good things. Really good things. And we're starting to get back healthy at that position, too, and we'll be healthy for the first game. But it's been good, and it allows you to develop depth when those other guys are out. Austin Allen's played a lot of football, so if he misses a practice, it's not the end of the world. You know, he knows his assignments, and it really does give the other guys a chance to come in and develop, because the best way to develop is getting reps. And so there's always a silver lining sometimes to injuries. Another guy gets in and gets to develop, and we're getting those other guys back, so that's a positive.
Matt, Omar Manning,
Yes, sir.
How do you describe what he's been able to do for you guys offensively here in your fall camp? And do you anticipate being able to throw a full load at him?
We do. Yeah, we do. You know, kind of back to that question we had, we're going to pare things down for everybody, so we feel like, yeah, he'll be responsible for the whole game plan, like all our skilled guys. You know, he's done a good job. He was the guy last year because of injuries and in and out of the lineup, and never really got the chance to practice on a consistent basis and understand the system and feel comfortable about there. But to his credit, he did a great job in the summer. And he's been a lot more consistent because he's been able to get out there and do reps. So we're excited to see what he can do. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think the neat thing about, Omar and everybody else, I think our quarterbacks and receivers have developed a lot of chemistry where we have multiple guys that can get open and that they feel good that they can trust and throw it down the field to, or are going to get open in intermediate routes as well. Yeah. Let's go kind of one day at a time. That's a good question. We go one day. We have in the summertime, you know, we scout out our first couple opponents, and it's obviously a huge football game, the first game, and we both know that, and so that's been a focus. And you know, now it's kind of paring down the stuff that we've installed that we think is going to fit for this particular game plan against Illinois. We've already started doing that. It's going to get more and more just kind of day by day, where it's going to be more play specific to Illinois as opposed to the whole playbook.
Coach, when you've had a line that it's been over more than a full season since they had to deal with crowd noise, you start on the road, are you worried a little bit all on cadence or silent snap counts? How much have you addressed that?
Yeah, that's a good question. We didn't have fans last year, but that's something we work on really every day is how does crowd noise affect cadence. We have different ways we can go cadence. You know, we can go silent, we can go on a count. We like to blare music. Sometimes I think the music we blare in practice is louder than the fans, especially when it's bad music. So I think that prepares our guys a little bit too. You know, I think, but we change up the cadence all the time to keep our guys just into it, because you just never know what the environment's going to be like. And the fact that we always have noise in practice, you know, it's still different in a game. I get it when you're going into a stadium of 100,000, but we talk about that every day as a staff of how we can have our guys prepared, because if you're not prepared, it could be a huge advantage for the opponent.